Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. My name's Jake and I'm with Team 2. We're here today to present our ethics audit. For our companies, we did Oakland Planning Development. Our law firm was Edgar Snyder & Associates. And our accounting firm was Hillbarth & King. First up, we have Oakland Planning Development.
So the first business we'll be talking about is Oakland Planning Development, which is located right on Atwood Street in the heart of Pitt's campus. The main focus of Oakland Planning and Development is to build a better Oakland through two primary ways. The first is through neighborhood preservation, with the second being community engagement, as well as projects that they involve the community with. Their goal is to make Oakland more economically stronger, more culturally cohesive and diverse. They want to be action-oriented with their initiatives in cleaning up Oakland and really taking it to the next step. And they want their employees to be more actively engaged in the community, really getting out there and finding what the real issues are and what they can best do to solve them. When we discussed the employees and how they were trained and their ethical guidelines, the first thing we found is that there was a high sense of accountability for employees and interns. They had a good sense of what was right and wrong, and they knew the consequences if they acted out of line in a certain way. The next thing we found is that they're really self-motivated. They really cared about what they're doing. They're not there for the paycheck or to put it on a resume. They do what they do because they really care about making Oakland a better place and really developing it and making sure in the next decade it's a well-respected town in the Pittsburgh area. They have an employee manual and a volunteer policy, which specifically states the company's guidelines, expectations, and their standard practices, and that's given to every employee in the training process. We found the biggest reason they're successful is because of the executive director, who sets the hiring practices. While they follow the standard HR practices, they really look for people who truly want to be there through a really aggressive screening process. They don't just bring in people who, they really focus on people who have a strong sense of what's right and wrong. The executive director sets the company's culture and values. She has a strong sense of what's right and wrong and how to further this business and really take Oakland to the next level. And the staff really buys in 100% to what the executive director sets, and that's what makes them such an efficient and effective business. When we examined how the company works on a macro level, what we really found is that they have a strong organizational culture. Everyone has a strong sense of what they're doing and why they're doing it, the benefits of their work. So that was the first thing we found, is that it's not farthest thing from a weak organizational culture where everyone's kind of doing their own thing. There's a good sense of cohesion between the employees. If there's issues between an employee or something that an employee sees while they're out on the job, they have a lot of informal codes and channels that are an effective way to solve those problems. Most of them go straight through to the executive director. When we asked about their finances, since they're a nonprofit, they have very strict guidelines they have to follow and checks and balances to make sure that, for example, the executive director isn't stealing. Because they're a nonprofit, they don't have the lawyer process that they have to go through. So it's really an honest policy, as well as the checks and balances that are set by them. And the last thing she talked about was a quote from James McCollins in his book From Good to Great. And she said they try and find the right people for the right seat on the right bus, which goes back to their hiring practices. They don't want to bring in people who are just there for the paycheck, as I said earlier. They want people who truly believe in what they're doing and are there for the right reasons. When we talked about their corporate social responsibility, they outlined three main projects. The first is the Oakland 2025 Master Plan, which is Oakland Planning Development's, that's their dream, and it's a plan to revitalize Oakland and have a positive community impact by the year 2025. There's a lot of good work there. It's going to be tough to get it done, but if they do, Oakland will no doubt be a better place. The second aspect we found was School to Career, which serves Oakland, the Hill District, and uptown Pittsburgh, and it focuses on job development and career exploration and training for teens that don't have the same privileges and the same options and availabilities that many other teens have. And also the Oakland Green Team has added countless greeneries and trails throughout the city, mostly downtown and on South Side. and their main goal is to beautify Oakland and really to move it more in towards a suburb aspect and add a lot of trees, plants, trails, just anything to really bring Oakland together and make it a nicer place for everyone to live. We found when we were talking about recommendations, there was only two that we really focused on. The first was to create a formal code of ethics. As I mentioned earlier, they have a strong informal channel, but they don't really have a formal guideline set in their employee policy and manual. So that was the first thing we found. And we also want, if there's an issue between two employees or an employee has a complaint about their boss or an intern, we would like them to have a stronger formal channel to report those issues. Instead of just going and handling it person to person, make a formal channel that they can go to, a mediator, a third party, to really solve the issue and get everyone back on the same page.
Over the past 30 years, my